All right, this is Derek Weisbrod here with Inerva Technology Advisors. I've got my cohort here, Rion Jones from Cytracom. He's got 10 years in the telecommunications space, and he's going to take an hour of our day to educate us more about the Cytracom offering. And I can tell you from working with these guys, their onboarding process is so smooth. It's like the first time in probably like 15 years I've not had to be involved in my clients onboarding into a voice platform, which speaks volumes for itself. So without further ado, I'm going to let Rion take it from here, and we'll be fielding questions as they come in. So feel free to, feel free to ask us questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek, for that intro. So again, I'm Rion Jones. I'm a partner account manager here at Cytracom. So essentially, I work with our managed service providers there in your area to work as a middleman and help make sure that everything flows smoothly from you through the MSP to actual Cytracom. So I definitely appreciate Derek inviting me here. Definitely privileged to speak with you today as well. So what I want to do is give you a little background or information on our company. Cytracom company is about 12 years old, started back in 2010, and it was started here locally in the US, based right outside of Dallas, Texas, in Allen, Texas. Our founder is still on board with us, and the CEO. It's kind of his brainchild. Our founder is heavily tech focused, and he's very user focused as well. So our applications and our platform is built with the user in mind first.
All right, this is Derek Weisbrod here.
And he's very and it still holds true. So our applications, our platform is built with it's very and it still holds well. So our applications, our platform. Just got a little bit of feedback there. So with our system, like I was saying, they're essentially it's US based, it's built from the ground up, and it's built to enable your team. So our CEO built everything where it could work in conjunction and make your team more efficient and not prohibit some of the things that you're doing. So with us, we don't work directly with clients. We know that the phone system has changed over the years. The traditional phone line running in from your telecom provider isn't cutting it anymore. Everyone has switched over to voice over IP phones, and these phones are actually tied into your network as well. So that's why we rely heavily on Inerva, our local partner, to work with you there, to be our boots on the ground, just because we understand that technology, the phone system, and your network is all tied in together now. And you really have to have an expert, even outside of the phone system, that's going to be managing your system on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis. So that's why we rely heavily on Inerva and our local managed service providers. So with our system, there's a lot of features, some that you may have currently that we can keep in place. And in most cases, we're going to expand upon what you currently have. With our system, we can give you an auto attendant. So this virtual assistant essentially can answer the phone for you without having the need to have a live representative actually answering the phone. A lot of times this can give a company a bigger presence than you actually have. And also it allows, if you do have an attendant, for her to be more efficient in fielding those calls if they're transferred to her coming out that auto attendant. A lot of times the auto attendant will filter the traffic and make sure it goes to the right department as well. So that's another big advantage of the auto attendant. Our system also allows for hunt groups, so we can set up individual departments with extensions to where if there's multiple folks handling the same duty or the same job, we can have the phones ring sequentially, or they can ring all at the same time. And we can set this up. And this is very efficient in companies where, like I said, if it's a doctor's office and there's several nurses that can all fill and answer that call. The majority of, I think, manufacturing and warehousing Same deal where there's departments where multiple folks can handle this. We can ring those phones simultaneously at the same time. This creating more efficiency as well through that hunt group. So we have our PBX platform that will allow you to manage all that. And we'll take a brief look at that today. This is something that we can manage for you. We don't charge for any changes. We don't charge for training. So if there is someone internally that manages that, or if Inerva, they're experts at that as well. So a lot of times they'll handle the managing of the phone system for the client completely. But whichever way you would like to do it, if you would like to just be enabled to where you can go in and make small changes, we'll teach you how to do that at no charge. And if you would like for us to handle it or Inerva, we can set that up to where they can make those quick changes for you. So whether you want to learn to fish or, we provide the fish for you, either way, we're going to make sure the phone system is set up in the way you like to use it and that it's efficient as well. So what I want to do now is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to actually dive into our platform and actually kind of go in depth and discuss some of the features and the benefits of switching over to a cloud-based phone system or stepping it up and enhancing it and coming over to our Cytracom platform. All right. So again, like I said, with Cytracom, we are locally based here in the U.S. out of Allen. We'll provide ongoing support. So we have 24/7 support that's available for you. You'll also have local boots on the ground with Inerva. In addition to that support, we program and we manage the phones in-house. So we're not outsourcing the phones. We own the code. We program the phones from the ground up. So if there's ever an additional phone that you need, you hire a new employee, simply as quick phone call made to us or Inerva, and literally within a week, we can have a new phone set up and delivered to you. And these phones come plug and play. So when they pretty much come to you, they're going to be prepackaged, labeled, so you know exactly what department, what extension that phone is going to get issued to. So that's another benefit of coming over to us. The ordering process or scaling up is very easy and simple to do with our system. So here, start with our package on our phone system. Essentially, you're going to get 3 pieces, and we feel like technology has changed to where you're not just working in the office anymore. We've recently all went through a pandemic. A lot of us was, working remotely, displaced for some time from the office. And it became difficult. A lot of times folks were using their cell phones and trying to manage and keep up with what's going on in the office and with their office phone system by using the phone system at home. So by coming over to Cytracom, we're going to eliminate, the need for using your personal cell phone. From a company standpoint, you can protect those leads and ownership of those leads by not, having employees make and receive phone calls from their personal cell. So we're going to provide you with our platform, a desktop phone. You'll also get our app, which is accessible from the Chrome browser, or you can download it to your computer from the Android or Apple store. And we also have a mobile application that you can actually put on your phone. And this mobile application will ring to your phone, but it will be the office phone number. So it's an extension of your desk phone. And this is a way to separate personal and business, essentially, where you can turn off the mobile app at certain times of day when you don't want to receive phone calls. And we'll dive into that too. But we provide all 3 of these because we feel like you need to be able to work anywhere, anytime, and any place. So if you have access to your phone system from the desktop phone, from your computer, or from your cell phone, essentially anytime that you want to be accessible, you're able to be accessible. So that's a benefit of coming over to our system. What we'll take a look here is at our D2 phone. So Cytracom, again, we build the phones in-house from the ground up. The phone here is, I've been around for a while, and it's definitely one of the most advanced phones that I've seen. It comes with 2 traditional screens. So you're going to have a top screen that's going to show caller ID. It's going to also show call history. You know, you can redial from there. A lot of the standard features. In addition to that, you're also going to get your Bluetooth notification. So these phones are Bluetooth capable. So essentially, if you have AirPods or earbuds, I'm actually connected right now with my Bose earbuds. Those are essentially able to sync up to our phone system and work naturally. So you don't have to purchase external headsets. They will work. So if you do have traditional headsets, or you do have folks that prefer traditional headsets and they even want to plug them into the phone, there's an available outlet on the phone, or available port on the phone rather, where you can plug in those traditional headsets also. So with the top screen, that's going to be standard on most phones. The bottom screen is standard on some phones, but here's where our service really differs. We provide what we call presence. And this is, again, to enable your teams to be more efficient. So if you look at the bottom LCD screen here, you'll see a green light beside Stephen and Christina's name. So essentially, I know that Stephen and Christina, they're available. Their presence is showing that they're currently not on the phone. I know the outcome essentially of that phone call before I transfer it. So I know that if I transfer this call, they're available. Most likely they'll pick up the phone. If they were shown in red, that would mean that they're currently on the line. And I know if I was to transfer that call to them, if we didn't have any other call routing set up, it's probably going to route to their voicemail. And if they were in gray shaded, then that would mean that they're not online currently. And if I transfer that call to them, it's going to route to their voicemail. So you have 3 different pages, and on each page there's 8 programmable keys. So essentially there's 24 programmable keys. So you can program internal employees. You can also program external numbers. So if there's vendors or distributors that you're dealing with on an ongoing basis, even cell phone numbers, you can program those numbers on that keypad as well. Our phone system also gives you the ability to have 4 call paths per user. And with essentially traditional phone companies would sell you a certain amount of lines. So you would have 8 phone lines and I could have 20 users. But essentially when I would get to that 9th phone call, it would boot, it would boot someone off the network, or that 9th call is not going to allow us to proceed, even though we have 20 users, because we only purchased 8 call paths. With our system, we allow 4 call paths per user. So essentially, if you had 20 users, you're going to have about 80 different call paths. And you can see this here illustrated on this phone, to where this employee has created park lines. So in addition to having programmable keys to where I can program numbers to call internal employees and external clients, I can also program park lines. So if I'm getting 2 or 3 calls coming in at a time, so I don't have to tie up additional line, I can park that call on a line, and then someone else is available to pick up that call and continue the conversation from there. So that's a big feature, having the ability to have 4 call paths per individual user. These phones also are Wi-Fi capable. So there's an additional charge per user, but we can activate Wi-Fi in the phones. So essentially, I work remotely most days. I go in the office a few days a week, and I physically will actually take my phone with me. So I'll take the phone from home to work. Now, this again is reliable upon your network, and this is where we really rely on Inerva to be our experts. And Derek and his team essentially would evaluate your network to make sure that the Wi-Fi is strong enough to support Wi-Fi phone calling enabled. But this phone here that you see on the screen is capable of being 100% Wi-Fi or plugged in. So that's another great benefit with these phones. The phones also have the ability to connect to a paging extension. So we do sell a device to where we could connect to an overhead paging system, and you can essentially page from the phone to a paging system. We would issue a paging extension. Each phone also has the ability to be an individual intercom per se itself. So we could dial, like, I think it's *4# and then the extension, and each individual phone has a speaker intercom built into it where each user can mute it, turn it up or down. And if they're on a call, it will not come through, but I can actually page through the phone. So if there's a department or even the break room, where there's multiple folks that are going to be in that area that we need to be able to access, we can just page through that phone in the break room if we're looking for someone, if they have that volume up, and then they can hear that, answer the phone or come respond accordingly. So the features of these phones are unsurpassed. You also have the ability, of course, to program numbers and a lot of general stuff. You'll see the voicemail notifications on the device as well. Now, another big one, and we'll transition over to our desktop application from here. Now, desktop application is accessible from the Apple or Android store. Also, we also have, if you have anywhere you have a Chrome browser, you can type in desktop.cytracom.net and you can access your phone system. So if you're working remote, inclement weather, the office closed for some reason, essentially, I can pull up my computer. I can either download the app or I go to desktop.cytracom.net and essentially I am in the office and I can make and receive calls. My computer browser will function the same as my phone. And that's definitely a big advantage, so I don't have to come home, work with my personal cell phone. Now my personal cell number is out. Clients have that number. They're going to call me, after hours or when I'm eating dinner, or when I'm out of town. So by having it separated, by having that desktop application, having the mobile application on your phone, you really can separate the business and personal. So here on the phone, on the soft phone on the main screen, it's going to show you general information. So you have your team, so everyone internally that I have programmed in here. Also, my current calls. This is a demo account, so we haven't returned many calls here. So we have 91 missed calls. And then also my voicemails. So voicemails are transcribed, and this is a big one. I rely on this heavily. Voicemails are transcribed. So when you receive a voicemail, we'll send you an email transcription. The voicemail is stored in our system for about 30 days. However, you'll have that voice file that we email over to you that you can store in your records for as long as you need to. So you'll be able to read those texts, essentially like most cell phones now, you have transcribed voicemails, but you'll be able to read those voicemails transcribed from the desktop application, and you can also view those from the mobile app. So when you're on the go or if you're out and about, essentially you can pull it up, just read that voicemail and then act accordingly. Also here on the soft phone, same thing as the mobile app and the desktop, you're going to show present. So I know that Bob Smith, he's available. If I transfer this call over to Bob, most likely he's going to answer it. Mackenzie currently is offline. So I know if I transfer that call, most likely it's going to route over to a voicemail. So that presence is a big one, especially when you're working remote and you're not in the same office. It's great to know that person is available prior to you sending over that call. And here's a contact list. So if you are using Office 365, you can import your contacts over and they'll be stored here in the system. And you can also, of course, traditionally like cell phone, just enter them in individually or enter them in here on the computer and create your contact list from there. Okay. And then this user here has created a park line as well. So you can park calls from the desktop app, just like you would from the from the desktop phone. All right, and then here's the biggest game changer, I think, for businesses. There's a statistic out that someone sent over to me recently where it's like 85% of millennials prefer to text versus a call. And I think it's trending up to kind of towards my age group as well, to where we're probably about 50-50. And it's transitioning over to business also. So nowadays, there are a ton of businesses that are using texting for appointment reminders, general lines of communication. And what we'll do is we'll make every phone number that you currently have textable. And a lot of times, we'll get pushback, folks saying, well, I don't think we're receiving text. And then they'll activate will activate their numbers and they're getting text in within a matter of days. And they're, at that time they're appreciated and they're responding accordingly. But something to think about, possibly is someone actually texting my business. If they don't reach me, is a competitor or a neighbor business using texting, and maybe they receive that message. So those are some thoughts to think about. But texting comes standard, so every user will be able to text one-to-one text. So you can do direct texting, and then you can also do group texting. So essentially, group texting, I can, just like my cell phone, I can send a message to Bob, Dan, and Oscar all at one time, and then we can all kind of chat in that group. So that feature functions just like a cell phone. So the business texting is definitely what a lot of businesses are transitioning to, and it just makes things a lot easier too. Sometimes communication is a lot faster, and you can kind of respond at your time once you know what they're looking for as well. That comes standard with every user. We do offer our shared inbox. So right now, we're the only company on the market that's offering shared inboxes. We brought this to the market about a year ago. And call it shared inboxes. I like to think of it more as collaborative texting or collaborative messaging. So with the collaborative texting or the shared inbox, it allows one user or a group of users to communicate to a customer or client. So for example, someone sent a text message in to Oscar, and Oscar received that message, okay? Here in yellow, the shaded area, Oscar is actually responding to Daisy Young, who's our internal employee. And Oscar's telling Daisy to please assist this customer, thanks. Now the customer doesn't see that information because he said at Daisy Young, so this is internal. Daisy responds, we appreciate your time. Can I please have your order number? Thank you. This is actually Daisy responding, even though it says Oscar's responding. So essentially, for example, if we had a doctor's office, I could bring in, if we had a doctor's office of 10 different folks, I could bring all 10 and assign them to that one main number. And they can mute themselves if they see that the conversation doesn't involve them. But anyone can respond, and it seems like it's coming from one voice of the company. So this is big to where we can sometimes assist customers and handle issues right through the text messaging to where we don't have to really engage in the phone call. And I can bring multiple folks into that text message stream to actually handle that information. And if need be, if we needed to attach a file or document, we can do it right down here at the bottom. So I could go in, hit attach file, upload that file right from my computer or photo. And the client can also do the same. So some information you need from them, they can actually, of course, traditional email, but they can actually text and send that over. You will receive that file also. So that text messaging feature, I believe, is great. The shared inbox is something that's outside the package, but price point wise, it's not much at all. It's definitely worth it if you do have the need for it. And then you can do general texting. So if you just want to start a conversation, you have a user you can do, or you could also, this is a demo account, I could also type in an individual phone number, even if I didn't have the user, just like my cell phone. Just if I didn't have to use a program, excuse me, just like my cell phone, I could send them a message. And we do also offer call recording. So with our call recording, we can establish it for a line. We can establish it for a particular extension, a particular line, and we can establish it for inbound or outbound calling as well. So maybe you just want to record all the inbound calls or all the outbound calls. We can get that set up for you too. And then we do also offer call center. So with our call center, we can set up queues. So if there is high volume of calls that are coming in, or even sometimes not even a high volume, but there's 3 or 4 folks that are all handling the same duties. Maybe you want to set up a call queue for them. It's very affordable. You're talking like literally $5 per person that's involved in the queue. So if you had 3 folks, it's just $15. And essentially you could see when someone calls in, I could see all the calls that are waiting, and I could see their whole time as well. So you can even prioritize, like if you look up there and you see that somebody that, you know, you need to get to a little sooner, that's something that you could do. You can prioritize and move that call up. But it allows you to see the calls that are active, calls that are abandoned, that timed out, that maybe the staff couldn't get to, their estimated wait time and hold time. And then we also have features behind the scenes in our setting where it'll actually announce the hold time. You can actually pre-record hold time greetings. So, you know, you can do standard generic music, or if you have like a company message that you want to program while someone's on hold, we can easily get that set up for you to where we can get it programmed and added. So that's a great feature that a lot of companies will use too. There are, you know, promotions or, you know, something that you have going on that's going to cover, you know, particular time period. You could put that on the greeting also. This here also shows the agents that are currently logged out the last time they were logged in. You know, sometimes if you're working remote and you do have a queue system set up, you may want to activate the agents. You'll get reporting for all calls. So call reporting comes standard through our Inlights feature to where you can see history, but this gives you like real-time data. So if there's you know, department or a group of folks that you want to pull real-time data for, then we suggest adding the call queue and of course history here. So it'll show you peak times and down times as well. And then we also have a general dialer. So if you just want to dial the numbers, you can come down here to the general dialer and do that. And then I want to spend some time touching on the settings. So this is real big, especially if you're going to be working remote. I'm going to be at home with my computer where I can answer calls. I'm going to be taking calls from my cell phone. I really want to control that experience because I don't want that to, you know, overtake or merge too much into my personal life. So each user from the application or from the computer, they have user settings that you can set up. So we can set up a call strategy. So I work remote a lot, and I also will travel for work. So essentially, when my phone rings, I want to make sure that it rings my mobile first, then my web and desk phone, just because that mobile phone is going to be with me more so. I can just have it ring the web and desk phone, then the mobile only. You can decide your call strategy for each individual user. So this is very big and very important too, just having that remote anywhere feature, but to set your call strategy up appropriately. And each user can do this. You can also set your ring time, a ring duration, if you want to solely make and receive calls from the desk phone. And then you can set your business hours. So if you're 8 to 5, you know, or if you want to adjust that, and you can do so individually. And there are additional settings for the company where the company can adjust those too behind the scenes from a higher level standpoint. And then each user can decide where the calls go after business hours. So we'll send it to voicemail, you know, both simultaneously, web and desk phone, then mobile. So you can kind of decide after hours where those calls go to. Each user has notifications on there. So you can set a specific ringtone so that you know, it's not your personal cell phone. So you can change your ringtone here in the ringer volume for the app. And if you're, you know, out of town on vacation, something like that, you can either log out or just mute all notifications. And in here, you can also import over your Office 365 contacts. And then the greeting. So I can record a personal greeting. And again, with those voicemails, they're stored for 1 month max in our system. But if you check this, click this here, you can actually enable notifications so that they're being emailed over to me. Okay. And then I also, of course, want to make sure they're transcribed as well. And then we'll add the voicemails as an attachment so you can store those as long as you would like. And all this is standard in the package. Okay. And some default stuff here for the microphone and speaker information. Okay. So also while we're here, what I would like to do is touch base on the faxing. Fax has definitely changed. A lot of businesses should, went away from traditional faxing. However, we enable you to do both. So if you want to stay with your traditional fax machine, even though we're a cloud-based phone system, we actually have a device that will connect to your traditional fax machine and it'll allow you to fax as normal. So you can do that. And you can also enable our eFax. So you can actually do both. We'll have many customers that'll do the traditional fax machine. Some will do eFax and we'll have some do a combination of both. With the eFax, it's real cool because essentially you type in the fax number here, decide to add a cover page or not, and I can upload, drag and drop files directly from my computer. So that saves a ton of time versus getting up, going over to the fax machine, making those copies, waiting for those sounds to go off, and then go that way. So either way you want to do it, or if you want to do a combination of both, we can do that for you. So we'll help enable you and we'll help transition over your fax system. We'll port over your fax number. So that's another thing too. We'll port over your main numbers, but we'll also port over your fax number as well. So you can keep everything the same. You wouldn't have to retrieve or request a new fax number. Another big thing here you see this bar here on the right side of the screen. We are benefits of using a cloud-based system and even using the desktop browser. You have a lot of additional features that you can't actually access or use from the standard desktop phone. And this is really why we partner with Inerva and MSPs to where they really understand a lot of these other programs that you're using on the other systems that tie in together and all work together with the phone system. So we do have integrations for like HubSpot, Salesforce, and various other programs. We're actually adding them all the time. So we're taking votes on our next run of integrations. Currently, we do use VOIP, which is a cloud-based program for chiropractors, dentists, audiologists. And essentially, when someone calls in, it's going to display some simple information like appointment time, that caller, that user, if we have anything scheduled for them upcoming or any additional notes. So that's one of the features when using the actual computer, that it integrates with some of the programs that you currently may be using. Another feature, and I'll just show you here live. Let's see, is when you're using the Chrome desktop browser, essentially we have a Chrome plugin extension. So the Cytracom plugin here is a Chrome extension, and it's real cool because it'll make, even if you're not using one of those programs that we have, it'll make anything that you use through the Chrome browser accessible to click to dial. So if you are using particular patient program or something internal, but you access it through Google or through Chrome, then you'll have the ability to, if you see a phone number, to go in there, click on that number, and we're in a demo account here. But essentially we would have it already set up to where it would make that call right from the Cytracom desktop or right from my mobile phone or from the Chrome browser. So that click to dial feature saves a ton of time. Essentially, if I find a number and I need to call it and I am using the computer, I can click on it and even pick it up from my desktop phone. So the Chrome browser click to dial is probably the main reason I actually use my computer more to make phone calls, is because I love that particular feature. All right, and then what I also want to do is I want to touch base here on our PBX system. So this is something that you may never touch. We'll have clients that never touch it. It's behind the scenes. And then we have some clients that will make small changes to it. We'll always do changes at no charge for you, as well as training. So Inerva, they're trained. Derek and his team is trained proficiently in Cytracom. But if you would like to kind of enable yourself to make small changes, add a new user, change things like that, we can teach you to do that. We'll train you ongoing for no additional charge. So if you need it initially during the onboarding process, we'll offer training to you. So we'll help port over the numbers. We'll help gather all the necessary information. We'll assign an onboarding specialist to work with you and your team, as well as with Inerva, to make the process as smooth as possible, to where it's not much that you'll have to do. We'll send out the phones programmed and ready to go from day one. And we'll also program everything here behind the scenes. So we'll have all this set up and programmed for you when the phone comes to you. Early on, what we'll do during the onboarding time is just gather generic information like your time frame. So we'll find out information, in terms of Monday, Tuesday, what are your business hours? We'll set that up. Maybe you're only working 4 days a week, and it's this easy as going down and clicking. We've made it very simple. We'll decide a name. So this is. All right, we'll pick a time zone. And during those hours, we can forward calls. So during those business hours, we may want to forward a call to a direct extension. Maybe we have a receptionist who's going to answer live. If that's the case, we would do that. And then we would just select Jennifer's extension. And then during that main time, that main number is going to ring to extension 108, which is the main receptionist phone. She's going to answer it, transfer them accordingly. But we may not want to do that. We may decide that, you know what, we want to go with the virtual assistant and we want to set up an auto attendant. So we'll set up the auto attendant, and then we'll create an actual auto attendant here to where those calls route to. And it's literally that simple. And then after hours, we'll decide, if we have a auto attendant, mailbox, go to a phone. There's so many different options after hours to route it to. But literally, we would go into auto attendant, and then we could set that up. So we'll set up the auto attendant. You can make the recording via your phone, essentially, and we can help you with that. Upload the file, and just decide here, press 0, it'll route to what extension, and we'll set that up. So don't want to get wrapped up too much in this, but it is extremely, extremely user-friendly, where it's just drop down and click. And essentially we'll manage this. So you can 100% never touch this if you would like, if you don't want to, but if you would like to kind of enable yourself a little bit, we can do that for you. Give you some training to where little changes and tweaks, and you can easily go in here and make those changes if you choose to. We'll also set up the hunt groups. So essentially our office group, we're going to set this up for maybe multiple representatives to ring at one time. And this is the example I gave earlier, where maybe there's 4 or 5 nurses that we want the phone to ring. They can all kind of do the same job or the same duty. So essentially we'll set that up, and we'll set up the ring strategy. And we'll just add what users, what group members we want to have in that essential ring group. We'll name it. And then we'll set up that call routing and where to route to. So there's a lot of different changes. We can choose for all those numbers to ring sequentially, or they all can ring at the same time. So it's another tweak, another change or adaptation that you can quickly make there. And then with mailboxes, just pretty much generic. We'll decide like some of those main mailboxes and those main numbers, who they actually route to. So maybe we want the main voicemails to route over to Elena. She's our main office manager. So we'll put her email in there, make sure we attach it as a voicemail, turn on voicemail transcription, and then those will route over to her accordingly. And same thing pretty much with an extension. We'll go in here, we'll get the extension. And here's another big point that I didn't point out. So for example, Elena and Nikki both have their own separate extensions, but when they call out, they want to show the main number. So we can set up individual extensions. Each user's subscription comes with a DID phone number, but they may not want to receive calls back. So we can set that outgoing call to whatever you would like. It simply would take literally seconds to go in here and click a few buttons, essentially just to go in and change the outgoing caller ID. and simply that easy. And now we've changed that. Now we can go a little more granular too, and so I don't want to go too deep, but for each individual extension, we can set up a call strategy too. So each individual user has call strategies, but each individual extension will actually have call strategies as well, to where it rings desk phone, mobile phone. We can set all that up in the after hours box as well. And then we can even, just the main phone number set up here, and you can assign where they ring, but we can also set up call forwarding. So for example, Elena has numbers forwarded to her cell phone number. So, you know, if you don't want to use the app, some users may want to stay with traditional cell phone. That's fine. You don't have to use the app. You can use it whichever way you would like. So what we could do is set up to where we forward calls from the extension directly to your cell phone. And we just put your cell phone number in here, save it. We'll just make a note that it's your cell, have it in the system. So we know it's your personal DID phone number. Click save, and now those inbound calls are routed to Elena's cell phone. So essentially that easy. So this is something that you may never touch. This is something that we may just manage for you, but it's there in case you would like to learn more about it. You'll have that ability to do so. So what I want to do now is just kind of recap, and I guess just point out a few things that I didn't mention. And probably one of the biggest things is going back to our D2 phone. With our system, the phone comes included in the package. So you don't pay anything additional for the phone. We cover the phones for life. And one of the biggest features of Cytracom is there's no capital expense, it's just operating expense. So the phones are included, and we'll actually, 3 years from now, as part of our Evolve program, we would swap out this D2 phone to our newest and latest, greatest phone at no additional charge. So we realize that technology is going to change. You know, now it's changing every year or so. You're getting something new. Phone system is going to be the same way. They become outdated and old over the time. We understand that. So we'll include our lifetime warranty with the phones, as well as every 3 years, we're going to evolve you to the next phone. And as part of our Cytracom Evolve, we'll actually upgrade you to the latest and greatest phone at no additional charge. So that's definitely something big. Another thing, we actually stand by our products and services. So we don't offer contracts. Let me take that back. We have contracts if you would like. There are incentives, but we don't require contracts. But we do have some real good incentives if you do get into a contract, but we'll earn your business month to month because the systems actually work. You know, and we know that the product is going to meet your needs. So we don't have any hesitation in, you know, not offering agreements with our system. Okay. And then last but not least, we will make this whole process like smooth for you. When you transition over to Cytracom, you'll have myself, as well as you'll have Derek and his team in Inerva, but you'll also be assigned an onboarding specialist. So early on, we're going to connect you with one of our experts who's going to lay out an outline of you transitioning over, and we'll set up the timelines, and we'll set up some dates. And pretty much you're going to sit back and we'll work behind the scenes to handle this for you, as well as with Inerva. And it's where they really shine. To make sure we gather all the information and we have you set up day one. We'll have everything programmed in the system. We'll have auto attendant if you choose to go with that. We'll have all the extensions and everything set up. When the phones actually arrive to you, like I mentioned earlier, each phone will actually be individually labeled with the phone number, that user's name, and their extension and department. So you know exactly how to distribute those phones. And it's going to be ongoing too. If you add an additional phone down the road, we'll have that set up the same way as well. So definitely feel free. I believe I've covered, I believe we went over a lot and covered everything, but definitely feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You have Derek there, but feel free to reach out to me also. Derek is going to share some information on how to contact me and follow up with me, but I'm always willing to answer any questions you have. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. That was a great talk. I actually picked up some new details I hadn't learned working with the system the last couple of years. So that was very helpful for me as well. If anyone does have any questions, this would be the good time to put them in the chat. But otherwise, you can reach out to me on my phone, 314-312-4701, or you can drop me an email and we will get a demo set up for you and get you connected with Cytracom to help things get to the next level. Doesn't look like we've had anything slide in on the chat, so that means you've done a pretty good job today. So yeah, I mean, without any questions going on, we're going to go ahead and just wrap it up here. And thank you so much for your time today, Ryan. I know you're on vacation, so enjoy the rest of it. And thanks for popping in to help our clients and prospects learn more about Cytracom and the benefits of VoIP.
No problem, Derek. I definitely appreciate you inviting me over. And if anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to reach out or pop on a demo with me and Derek. Would love to take a deeper dive, and we can actually tailor something specific for your business as well during that demo.
Cool. All right. Well, that is a wrap. Take care. See you guys during our next cybersecurity update. Bye.
Awesome. Take care.